All right. So again, welcome everyone. Thank you all for joining us today. Happy Black History Month. Welcome to Black History Month 2022. We have a great event in store for you today. Our kickoff as we celebrate Black History Month with the Network National Black Integrated Communications Professionals. This is our kickoff event. So we have a lot of events and information in store for you this month. This is our kickoff event from a national level. So thank you all for joining and taking time out of your day to be with us today. Today we have a great presenter. Today we have Mr. Al Riddick. He is the founder and president of Game Time Budgeting. Some of you may have already attended his webinars and seen the information he shares. And for those of you who haven't, you're definitely in for a treat. His webinars are dynamic. He gives lots of tips and advice and some things that are actionable items that you can do right away. So there's is not like you need to wait until you have a huge portfolio. He gives it to us, so that everyone can start from right where they are. Without further ado, I'll turn it over to you, Al, and you have the floor.
Thank you so much, George, and hello to everyone in the network. It is amazing to be here with you again. And being that we are kicking off Black History Month, I was hoping that we could all do something. I know that, of course, I'm the only person that is not on mute right now, but one of the things that I was hoping that we could do is have a little bit of lift every voice and sing. So if I have to do this by myself, that's okay as well, you know? So here we go. Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring. Ring with the harmony of liberty. Let our rejoicings rise high as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing the song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing the song full of the hope that the present has brought us, facing the rising sun of our new day begun. Let us march on till victory is won. So, although I had to do it by myself, it's okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, sometimes I just like to do things that are a little bit off the wall. So, that's just what we're in for today. So, first of all, when I was looking over some of the words to this song, some things really stood out to me. So, first of all, when I was looking at this line, sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us, you may be saying, well, how in the world can Al relate this to money? So I don't know where you are in your financial fitness journey, but some of the things that we have experienced in the past with money, believe it or not, those situations that we've gone through, sometimes I sit back and ask myself, what did I learn from some of my past financial mistakes? And then when I look at this next line, sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us, I start thinking about where am I today in my financial fitness journey? Every day you wake up and every day I wake up, guess what? We have a new opportunity to make different decisions and different choices that will hopefully create better outcomes for each of us. And then when I peruse the next line, facing the rising sun of our new day begun. Now, guess what, ladies and gentlemen? I'm going to share a lot of tips and strategies with you today, but when you wake up tomorrow, that can be the first day of the rest of your financial fitness life if you want it to be. And last but not least, when I look at let us march on till victory is won, when I saw that line, this is how I interpreted it. First of all, we're all playing this financial game, so to speak, right? And I can guarantee you this. Success is almost guaranteed if you do not quit. When you think about that, this personal finance game that we're playing, it operates 24 hours a day and 7 days a week. Even if you don't think you're a part of it, you are playing this game each and every day. If you choose to sit back on the sidelines, guess what? You're probably going to sit there and watch other people win. So I always say, why not go ahead and participate? Because this game is going nonstop and you cannot win if you aren't playing the game. Now, very quickly, I'm going to tell you just a little bit about my past. So I'm going to take you all the way back to November 2nd of 1974. Believe it or not, this is me when I was just a few days old. And I can only imagine my parents coming into my bedroom and looking at me in my crib, and they probably had a lot of hopes and dreams for my future. They probably were like, you know what, when he grows up, we hope that he will turn himself into something that we aren't ashamed of. They may have also said, you know what, when little Al grows up, we want him to be respectful. We want him to be a hard worker. We want him to not only respect himself, but respect other individuals as well. But the one thing that I am sure my parents did not think about when I was growing up is this. They probably never thought when he grows up, I want him to be broke, right? And believe it or not, that is an easy thing to do. And I have done that in my life. But luckily for me, I eventually got my mind right so that I could start producing some better behaviors with money. But when you look at this slide, there is something that I like for you to remember. Nobody is born understanding personal finance. However, it is a skill that can be learned. And I am so thankful to this day that you don't have to be some type of rocket scientist or have an IQ that is just off the charts. But personal finance is something that each of us can learn, and we can use this knowledge to create the financial future that we desire. Now, very quickly, I need to introduce you to the people that gave me life. This is my mom and dad. Alfred, I'm a junior, by the way, and this is my mom on the right. Her name is Alice. Now, my parents, they grew up on farms in North Carolina. My dad's family was so poor that they did not have electricity in the home. Their bathroom was an outhouse, nor did they have central air or heat. Can you imagine that just for a second? My parents, they learned what they knew about money from my grandparents who were sharecroppers. And as you can imagine, that knowledge and information and skill set or lack thereof was passed on down to me. So needless to say, I did not learn a lot about money growing up. And I dare say that there may be a lot of you on this webinar right now who did not learn a lot about money growing up. But just because we did not learn a lot about money, that doesn't mean we can't learn from this day going forward. So one of my first memories as it relates to money and my parents occurred when I was about 12 years old. I still remember back in those days when my mom and dad would take me school shopping. So I saw a pair of Nike Huarache gym shoes. They were white with a little bit of neon green and blue. And when I saw them, they were calling out to me. They were like, Al, buy us. So I looked at my dad, and of course, he asked me how much the gym shoes were. They were about $100. And back then, that was like really a lot of money for gym shoes. So my dad looked at me and he said, you know what, son? He said, we'll get you the shoes if you come up with half the money. So at that time, I took that deal, but then I realized that I didn't have a job. But I'm so glad that my dad forced me to get creative, because from around the age of 12, I started washing cars and mowing lawns in the neighborhood, and I made enough money so that I eventually got those shoes. Now, as I was matriculating through my life, and this is something else that I bet a lot of you can identify with. So if you can remember way back in elementary school when you were learning about your ABCs and your one, two, threes, and then you graduated to middle school, and of course, you started learning about decimals and ratios and percents. And last but not least, you ended up, of course, in high school as well. So in high school, you know, you learn about algebra 1, algebra 2, geometry, and calculus and things of that nature. But I distinctly remember one time I took a geometry test, completed every problem on the test. When I got it back, I had a big fat red zero at the top of that test. But I share this story with you so that you know this. You don't have to be great with different types of fancy math when it comes to money. I made a 0 on a geometry test, but thank God I didn't let that hinder me regarding my relationship with money and the skill level with it that I chose to attain in my life. Now, just to keep things moving forward a little bit here, I do have a question because I love to get responses from the audience. And being that we've been talking a lot about my childhood experience, I love to know a little bit about yours as well. So, this is my question. While growing up, what personal finance lessons did you learn through observation or verbal instructions? Now, I'm going to give you about 30 seconds to a minute to come up with a couple of answers, but I'm going to go ahead and kick this off and chat one of the things that I learned from my parents. I just sent it out, and this is a lesson that I heard my dad say over and over and over. And I'm guessing I was the type of child that always wanted like the finer things in life, but I wasn't making my own money, and I expected my parents to buy me things. So I see one here from George. When you get birthday money, you can choose to spend it or save it. I like that. And I'm just curious if anybody else had any other lessons. Teddy said it doesn't grow on trees. That is so true, Teddy. And I'll give you a couple of more seconds here to chime in. But again, the question is, while growing up, what personal finance lessons did you learn through observation or verbal instruction? I see Bill said his grandmother used to say, don't flash your cash. That is so true, Bill. That's a good one. I like it. And I see Miss Lisa said, don't spend all you have, make a budget and balance your checkbook. I actually think that's a lost art these days, Jennifer. And if more people actually did that, I doubt that we would have the debt levels in this country that we have today. So for everybody who chose to chime in, I greatly appreciate it. And for those of you who didn't, don't worry. You're going to have plenty of opportunities to do that in the future. So just to keep things moving along here, as we were talking about earlier, a lot of what I was exposed to as a child, it did impact my mindset with money. And just like yourself, I don't know who raised you or how you were brought up, but a lot of the things that you saw, heard, and experienced at a young age, I dare say that they dictate to this day the mindset that you exhibit with money. And one thing about your mindset is that if when you think a certain way, of course, your thoughts are dictated based on your experiences, and then those thoughts typically will drive the behaviors and actions that you commit when it comes to money or really any other thing in your life. So very quickly, just to touch on mindset, it typically, of course, comes in two different forms. We have a fixed mindset, and then you could have a growth mindset. So the first thing I want to touch on is a growth mindset. So let's just assume, well, actually, I don't even want to assume because I do believe this. I know for a fact that everybody on this call already has everything that they need to create the financial future that they desire. Okay. So, in order to do that, maybe you say something like, you know what? I really want to be a millionaire by the time I retire. So, if that is your mindset, you may start seeking out new information about personal finance so that you can increase your level of understanding about money. And then, because you think a certain way, you're going to start to behave in a certain way where maybe you widen the gap between income and spending, or maybe you're focused more on growing your wealth, or maybe you're focused a little bit more on minimizing your living expenses because, again, you now possess a growth mentality or mindset, meaning that you believe you have the ability to learn more about a particular topic, money in this particular case, so that you can improve your life. Now, a fixed mindset, on the other hand, is going to show up in a totally different way. So I'm just going to assume, or I want you to assume that, let's say I grew up in a household where my parents, they said something like this, you know what, we grew up poor, and because we grew up poor, we're pretty sure that you're going to grow up and be poor as well. Now let's just assume that I heard this each and every day of my life. So naturally, I would start to think in a way about money so that I would not produce good results with it. So that might lead me to use things like payday lenders or maybe I started supplementing my income with credit cards, but it's all based on the mindset that we exhibit with money, which dictate our thoughts and then the behaviors that we exhibit with money. So one thing I want everybody to fully understand is that if you're trying to create different results with money, it all starts with the way that you think. Now, of course, I do like to make things interactive. So I have a couple of quick questions for you here because I want to know what's on your mind. So again, you can chat your responses. One of the first questions here is, what 2 or 3 behaviors could you modify today that could change your financial outlook for the better? Again, please just chat your response, but I'll go ahead and restate the question. What 2 or 3 behaviors could you modify today that would change your financial outlook for the better? And I'm going to pause for a quick 30 seconds here. Hopefully the silence doesn't bother you because it does not bother me at all. Okay, get rid of credit cards in 2022. I love that. And Miss Shanita, there is no doubt in my mind that you can do that. Someone said maximize your credit card benefits, reduce spending on eating out. Yeah, particularly in today's environment, a lot of more people are getting a takeout and things of that nature. Become debt free, save money regularly. I love it. Cook and eat at home more. Let's see here. Change spending habits to purchase what's needed instead of what's wanted. Yeah, that's a big difference between what a want is and what a need is. Now, for those of you who chose to participate, I do appreciate it. And I just saw one that I really love from Nicole. I think you said create a spending plan or have a spending limit. I love that. I need to introduce you to my wife, right? But one of the things that we just did, okay, I asked a simple question and it was related to what you thought you could change in the form of your behavior that could produce better financial results. So what you have just done, ladies and gentlemen, you've already identified some things in your specific life that if you were to modify your behaviors, you would produce better financial results. Let me give you a little tip here. You've already started to ascend to the top of your financial mountain in the sense that you've identified these behaviors and you already know that you have the power to modify these behaviors. So the question is not, can you do this? The question really is, will you do it? And only you can answer that question. So like I said, I like to know what's on your mind. So I do have another question here for you as well. And this question is, what one financial accomplishment would you be most proud of if you were able to accomplish it? And you can chat your responses. Again, we're just looking for one financial accomplishment that you would be most proud of if you were able to achieve it. Sorry for the typo on my slide there. And I'm still looking over some of your responses from the first question, and I love it. I see someone said, become debt free. Good stuff. Save more, spend less, and keep your priorities high. Become debt free, spend less and save more, eliminate all credit card debt and keep it gone. I love it. Paying off your credit cards, paying off your house before retirement. These are all excellent, excellent goals for you to have. And ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you another little secret. So the things that you've already told me that you want to accomplish regarding your financial goals in your respective life, I do have to tell you something that you may need to be reminded of. You know, when you wake up in the morning, and most of us, the first stop is the restroom. If you turn the light switch on, you know that reflection that's staring back at you in the mirror, that is the only individual that has the power to dictate whether or not you achieve some of your financial goals. If you ask me, I know you can do it, but again, the question is, will you do it? So let's keep things moving along here. Just to tell you a little bit more about the way that I was brought up, because my parents grew up as poor as they did, and education was stressed to them because that was kind of like their only way out, so to speak. One of the things that was instilled in me was this: I had to study hard, make good grades, go to college, and then find a good job. So I checked all of those boxes. And as you can see, I had to shout out North Carolina A&T State University. But one of the things that I did not do growing up, I did not become a student of personal finance. I wish I had, but I didn't. My financial education, it really started in my late 20s. And that is one of the reasons I'm so passionate today about helping people come up with simple and easy to duplicate strategies with money that gives them the results that they desire. So again, I did not become a student of personal finance while I was growing up. And of course, it's all because I just didn't know what I didn't know about money. Now, one of the things I will tell you about my past, I've only had two jobs since college. One, I worked for a company by the name of Sunoco, Sonoco, not Sunoco, the gas and oil station. And then I also worked for GlaxoSmithKline. I've always been in sales throughout my corporate life, and I was pretty good at it. I won a lot of awards, a lot of stock options, a lot of trips, and things of that nature. And when I was a teenager, if someone had told me that I would eventually be driving a company car, six-figure salary, ridiculously large bonus checks, and winning all of these trips and things of that nature, I would have been like, sign me up right now, right? But I came to discover that although from a financial point of view, I had a lot of the material things in life, I really wasn't happy. So I went on what I call my journey to self-discovery, where I had to ask myself two questions. Number one, who is Al Riddick? And number two, why am I on earth? So I came to discover that I absolutely love inspiring and motivating people to, first of all, count their money, then give every dollar they earn instructions so it will behave. Now, not too long into my corporate career with GlaxoSmithKline, like I said, I used to work in sales, and the company, they had told all of the salespeople to stay at home one day and wait for a very important phone call. And I'll never forget this day. It was June 7th of 2010. So at approximately 12:23 p.m., my phone rang, and the two gentlemen on the other line, they or on the other end, it was a district sales manager and a regional sales manager. So they went on talking about how I had been such an asset to the district and region and things of that nature. So after the small talk ended, they told me that my job had been eliminated. So just think about that for a second. Six-figure income gone away within about a 5-minute conversation. Now, because I was working in sales, I was driving a company car, so I don't need to tell you what they asked for next. So on June 7th, I was laid off. But there's a silver lining in this story as well. What the company did not know that 3 years before getting laid off, my wife and I, we had gone on our journey to financial freedom. So we paid off $150,000 in debt. As a matter of fact, on December 21st of last year, we celebrated 14 years of total debt-free living. And when I say debt-free, I'm talking no student loans, no credit card debt, no auto loans, and no mortgage. So when you listen to me speak, ladies and gentlemen, keep in mind, I'm the same guy that made a zero on a geometry test in high school. So if a person like me can learn some very simple strategies regarding personal finance that can totally change his life, in my opinion, there is no reason why you can't do the same. But I will tell you this, is not going to happen by accident. You have to be intentional. So you may be saying, well, Al, I appreciate you sharing a little bit about your life, but let's talk about what's going on in my life right now. So one of those things, of course, is inflation that is impacting everybody's life right now. So as you can see here, you know, the price of gas, and this is December 2021 compared to December of 2020. Um, Prices up 58%. When you look at used car prices, they're up roughly 31%. Furniture and bedding up almost 12%, rent almost up 3%. And just so you know, and this is a little funny story, hopefully, but the car that you're looking at, that is a 2000 Toyota Solara. Would you believe that my wife's car looks exactly like that, and it's the same year? And our running joke is that we're going to get rid of her car one of these days, but right now it's just not the right time. So even though, as an example, you know, inflation is out of control, we have made the decision to not participate when it comes to replacing her car. We wanted to replace it last year, but we decided not to do that because the prices are just out of control. So that story is to be continued. Another thing as well, and this is something that you're probably seeing at the grocery store, meat, poultry, fish, eggs, that's up about 13%. And for those of you who love coffee, that price has gone up as well, about 7% for a pound of coffee. Now, I will tell you this is one of my guilty pleasures in life. When it comes to eating, one of the things that I love is Alaskan king crab legs. But because of inflation, can you believe the price of a pound of crab legs now, king crab legs that is $60 a pound. So I choose not to participate. So even though that's something that I love to indulge in, I just stop eating it because at the end of the day, I control what I do with my money. I don't let the economy or all of it dictate my behaviors. Now, when it comes to controlling the things you can, ladies and gentlemen, I'm about to show you how much control you actually have. So, first of all, one of the things that you control is your priorities. Now, you may hear some people talk about being effective at time management and things of that nature, but I personally don't believe you can manage time. I do believe, though, that you can manage your priorities. So, as an example, let's just say from this day forward, one of your priorities will be moving up personal finance or your relationship with your money a little bit higher up on your scale of things that are important in your life. When you do that, obviously what you focus on grows. So there's no doubt in my mind that you should start to see some measurable changes regarding the progression in your financial wellness journey. Secondly, you have control over this as well. You control what you value. Now, I don't know if you've ever asked yourself this question, but my wife and I, we talk about money all the time. And we've been married about 19 years. And we had to ask ourselves, what is it that we truly value in life? And I'll tell you the top three things that we came up with. Number one, we value supporting various charities that we believe in because we're all about giving back. Number two, we value travel. We love to travel and experience new people and new cultures. And number three, we love saving and investing for retirement. So when it comes to the Riddick household, and our monthly budget. And excuse me for cursing on your webinar. I did say the word budget. I know some of you don't like that, but I'm going to make you love it by the time we conclude today. But when we sit down and create our game plan for the month, we make decisions based on those top three things, and then we just live on what's left. So each and every month, we make sure that those three things get the support that they need from a financial perspective, and we live on what's left. Obviously, you control what you spend, you control your savings rate, you control how you react to things going on around you. Case in point, inflation. Here's some of the other things that you control as well. Whether or not you have some side hustle income, what you drive, things of that nature, the price you pay for an investment, you actually do control that. And one other thing that I wanted to hone in on is how you spend your leisure time. So if one of your desires is to enhance your understanding about money and personal finance, guess what? You are going to have to allocate some personal time to doing just that. Because I am a very, how can I say it? I'm almost what they would call a financial wellness fanatic. Okay. So I spend tons of time just reviewing articles and reading books and things of that nature because I feel like there's just so much to know. But at the end of the day, my wife and I, we really don't change what we do with money that much. But I have to keep feeding my brain because I love information, because I feel like the more I know, it equips me to make better decisions that will prove very beneficial for my wife and I later on in life. So again, those are just some of the things that I know you have 100% control over. And I had to throw in, you do actually control your dependent children as well. So the next slide that you see here, I am intentionally, ladies and gentlemen, hopefully trying to make you feel comfortable and relaxed because I do have to ask you some more questions. However, for these questions, do not respond via chat. These are just things that I want you to think about. So here we go. Your first question is this: are you on track to hit your 2022 savings goal? Again, do not respond via chat. Question number two: how wide was the gap between income and spending for January within your household? Now, that's not a trick question, but the reason that I asked it is this: we're already at February 2nd. So if you are managing your household like you're running a business, you know, at the end of every month, most businesses do what they call closeout. So you should know how wide that gap is between income and spending for last month. And depending on the width of that gap, you're probably either operating at a budget surplus or a budget deficit. So let's keep things moving along here. The last question is this: what is the plan for how your money will behave in February? So get this, ladies and gentlemen, it is very difficult to tell your money where to go in the future if you do not understand where it has gone in the past. So I intentionally phrase these questions in a certain way so that it would hopefully start to entice you to start paying more attention to what is going on with your money on a day-to-day and week-to-week basis. Another thing to think about as well, earlier I talked about how we're all participating in this financial game, right? If you aren't counting your money, how in the world will you know if you're winning at personal finance? How will you know when the game is over and things of that nature? It's almost impossible. So just keep that in mind. Now, a couple of quick things I would like to share with you. You may be saying, well, heck, you know, we're in a new year. I don't know how many of you may have set like a New Year's resolution or something like that, but I wanted to quickly give you a couple of tips regarding how to create a new financial you in 2022. That is myself and Miss Lisa Riddick there. She loves to decorate the house for any type of occasion. So we actually had a what we called our COVID New Year's Eve party at the house downstairs. But when it comes to creating that new financial you in 2022 this year, some of the things that I want you to focus on is this. First of all, I want you to focus on pleasure. Now, I know you might be saying, well, Al, you're the first guy to ever talk about pleasure and money at the same time. Now, let me explain why I want you to focus on pleasure. First of all, the reason most of us do anything is because of how it will make us feel. Okay. So when it comes to enhancing your relationship with money, you have to come up with a reason that makes you feel good about engaging in the process and the journey of improving your financial life. It's almost like this. I need you to focus so hard on the pleasure associated with accomplishing one of your financial goals that your fear of remaining the same does not hold you back, if that's making sense. So again, focus on pleasure. So like in my life, my wife and I, we handle money a certain way because about every 3 to 4 months, we like to take a trip, a very nice trip. And we know that if we live our lives a certain way on a week to week and month to month basis, we will always generate the cash flow that we need to support what I call our travel habit. So that is what I mean by focusing on pleasure. Next on this list, make your money behave. Now, earlier I did use a little bit of profanity when I said the word budget, but it was for a good cause. So when I talk about making your money behave, you have to give your money purpose, direction, and an assignment. At the end of the day, money can only follow the instructions that you give it. If you are not satisfied with the results that your money is showing you today, guess what? First of all, there is nothing wrong with you. Let's get that out of the way first. You aren't broken and you do not need to be fixed. It is just a simple matter of adjusting the instructions that you're giving to your money and then implementing strategies to make sure that you make your money behave. I'll address that a little bit later in this presentation. Now, this is a no-brainer, but I tell you, this is something that a lot of people do not do. we do not count our money. Now, you may be saying, Al, count my money. Every time I look at my banking statement or you pull up your bank account app on your phone, what you are doing at that moment, you are not counting your money. You're just retrieving information. And there's a big difference there. So when I say count your money, obviously every time you get paid, X amount of money hits your bank account. But when was the last time you actually looked at all of the expenses that hit your household for a month and then actually made some adjustments based on the information that you obtained? So that is what I mean by count your money. Every week at the Riddick household, I download our various banking transactions for the week because I love to compare our projected spend versus our actual spend. Next, let's go ahead and knock this list out. Another thing that you have to do, you have to track your spending. So look at it this way. So can you imagine what the income statement and balance sheet for AT&T would look like if nobody was tracking expenses? It would be out of control, and whoever the accounting department was made up of, I'm sure they would be replaced immediately. So one of the things that you could do if you desire to, what if you started running your household just like it was a business? So in business, obviously you keep track of all your revenue. We really don't have revenue in our respective households, but we do have income, okay? Every time you get paid. And then all of those expenses that you have, keep track of that as well, because at the end of the day, those expenses impact your ability to save more for retirement. They impact your ability to have a fully funded emergency fund. They impact your ability to celebrate your anniversary and birthday the way that you would like to, things of that nature. So keep that in mind as well. Next on the list, make big goals small. Now, as you can already tell, you've probably been listening to my voice now about what, 38, 40 minutes. I'm the kind of guy, I'm probably the most simple guy you would ever want to meet in your life. And I'm the kind of guy, I love simple things. So let me explain what I mean by this, make big goals small. So because my wife and I don't have any debt at all, when it comes to our property taxes or real estate taxes, we don't put that in escrow like a lot of people do who have a mortgage. But let's just say, as an example, our real estate taxes is like $6,000 a year. One of the things that we love to do is make big goals small. So obviously it's 12 months in a year. So 6,000 divided by 12 is $500, right? So every month we have an automatic transfer from checking to savings so that we save money every month so that when that big real estate tax bill comes in, it really doesn't mess up our cash flow. I just make one transfer and pay the bill, and that's it. Now, I'm sure there's some things in your life right now regarding some of the big expenses that you have. My best advice to you is to break those expenses up and make those big goals very small. So let's keep it moving, ladies and gentlemen. Next on the list here is set it and forget it. I am a huge fan of automation when it comes to my financial life. Matter of fact, I would dare say 99% of my life is automated when it comes to money. Because earlier I mentioned that my wife and I, we love to save and invest for the future. Um, Even though we do some pre-tax investing, we do a lot of after-tax investing as well. So even with my brokerage account that's actually over at Vanguard, and no, they did not pay me to say that, by the way. I'm just giving you real information. Every month, I have X amount of money transferred from our joint checking over to our brokerage account, and we buy investments with that money, and that's something that we do month after month, year after year, and it's actually fun. And keep in mind, again, all of this is automated. And last but not least, one thing I will talk about is rewarding yourself. This is something that really can keep people focused on hitting one of their goals. So if you know that, let's say at the beginning of the year, you were like, you know what, I want to set a goal to save about $100 a month every month so that I have 1,200 bucks cash by the time Christmas rolls around. I don't see anything with rewarding yourself if you hit that goal each and every month. And when I say reward, I don't mean go out and buy like the latest outfit or the latest handbag or the latest this or the latest that, or even like big screen TVs. I know the Super Bowl is coming up very soon. I mean, small rewards that will not put a dent in your financial plan. That's what I mean when I say reward. So I'm actually going to skip this particular slide for right now. Hope you don't mind. Just to stay on task, I am paying attention to the time here. So when it comes to you and your relationship with money, one of the things that I want to encourage you to do is spend with intention. Now, I don't know how many people on this call are in a relationship or married or with a partner or single. I don't know. And honestly, I really don't care. However, I do know this: you have at least one income coming into your home. Maybe you have two or three different streams of income, being that we do live in a gig economy. I don't know. But at the end of the day, you have to be very strategic and intentional about how much money you're spending on shelter, transportation, food, personal care items, as well as debt, because all of these decisions, again, will impact your ability to create the financial future that you desire. Next, I always like to do a public service announcement as well. For those of you who have enjoyed not paying your federal student loan debt over the last X number of months, that time period is coming to an end. So that's going to start back on May the 1st. So being that you know this information and you know it's coming, the best thing you can do is start to prepare today for what you know is coming in the future. Now, one of the things that I quickly wanted to do in a lot of my presentations, I talk about a fictitious character. His name is John B. Free, right? So what I've done now is I'm giving you a month at a glance so that you can see how you might want to start structuring your financial household. Now, this particular gentleman, John B. Free, he makes about $48,000 a year. His net pay is roughly $3,000 a month. So as you can see here, these recommended percentages, this is percent of income that should be spent as a max, more or less, on these particular categories. So as you can see here, roughly 30% on housing, 15% on transportation, so on and so forth. And I've actually crunched the numbers for you here. So if we say we don't want to spend more than 30% on housing, that would mean John B. Free should not be spending more than $920 per month in housing. So the reason that I put an asterisk here beside housing and transportation is because these are two what I call high impact decisions, right? Depending on how much you fall in love with a home when you see it for the first time, sometimes people make the decision to live in a house that they really can't afford. So if your mortgage payment is taking up a humongous chunk of your net income, that is going to impede your ability to save and invest for the future in the way that you would like to. Now, I don't know what kind of whip you drive, but again, transportation is another issue. There is nothing wrong with nice, fancy, flashy cars. I'm a big car guy myself. I just don't drive one, but I don't mind looking at other people driving theirs. So that's something else that can play a part in your financial well-being. But again, this is just a snapshot here of where you might want your percentages to be regarding how your net income is distributed. First of all, I always like to talk about personal situations. So 2 nights ago, when it was January 31st, I took a look and I pulled some data from our personal budget. So my wife and I, we have about 23 expense categories in our budget, and we were at goal on roughly 17 out of those 23. You can look at the screen here and see where we were under goal and over goal. By the way, I was the person who made the last run to Costco, so I think that's why we went a little bit over on grocery, because I love food. And as you can see, at the end of the month, we had an $80 surplus. Now, what I'm about to say may sound strange, but our goal every month is to become broke on purpose and not by accident. And when I say become broke on purpose, this is what I mean. We sincerely believe in giving every dollar that flows through the Riddick household an assignment so that money will behave. Now, these are some of the things that you can do very quickly in your household, and I'm going to run through a quick example of how my wife and I manage money. So let's just say we already know some of the dates that certain items will hit your bank account so far as the dates that these bills are due. Because my business is game time budgeting, I use a lot of sports terms and analogies just to help people understand financial concepts. So as you can see here, these are our due dates. Now that we know these due dates, we're looking toward the future. So we're going to plug these dates in based on the particular week within which they fall. So we know the mortgage is typically always due at the beginning of the month, so we take care of that. And I plugged in other items here as well. So let's just assume we put together our budget for the month of March, and we see that we have $340 plus left, 347. Now, most people would say, well, you know what, with this $347, I'm about to turn up. No, we don't want you to do that. We want you to give that money purpose, direction, and an assignment so it will not behave. So if, as an example, you know that your savings account does not have the amount of money in it that it needs, why not redirect that $347 to your savings account? So as you can see here, we zeroed things out within your particular budget. And let's just fast forward to the end of the month, and let's say that you have another $50 that is left, meaning that your expenses were well below your income, so that you generated another 50 bucks of cushion. Again, you have options. Do I just spend this money and make myself feel good, so to speak, or do I go ahead and put this money somewhere else? So again, the choice is yours. Now, you do have some homework, ladies and gentlemen. So you can do this homework if you would like to. I would love for you to. So I dare you to do this. Matter of fact, I double dog dare you. So if you would like to, I dare you to review your spending patterns from the month of January. How would you do this? Pull up your online banking statements, or look at your credit card bills and just go down line by line so that you can get a full overview of your spending habits. Secondly, I just need you to sum some of those spending habits by category. Of course, housing, car loan, student loan, groceries, things of that nature. Now, what's really significant here, I need you to identify some opportunities to recapture your wealth. By that, I mean, are there some opportunities to reduce some of my expenses, or might there be opportunities to increase my income? Because keep in mind, we do live in a gig economy. If you need some help with organization and structure, if you go to my website, gametimebudgeting.com/resources, and look under one of the workbooks that I wrote, the Uncommon Millionaire's Guide to Financial Fitness, there's a link there, actually two links, one to Google Sheets and another to Microsoft Excel, where I can allow you, or you can allow yourself to get the structure and order that you need with your personal finances. And last but not least, I dare you to create your February budget. Now, don't just create this budget. I actually need you to follow that budget. I need you to track where your money is going, because we need to start measuring again that gap between income and spending. So a lot of people, they typically ask about some of the educational resources that I have. Um, in the center there, The Uncommon Millionaire, that's the workbook, excuse me, that's a book that I wrote just detailing my life and my transition from financial ignorance to a little bit of money mastery. I talked about this book earlier, The Uncommon Millionaire's Guide to Financial Fitness. I basically wrote in a step-by-step form how to get the structure, organization that you need with your finances on a day-to-day basis. And last but not least, Money Smart Teens. That's a workbook that I wrote for the youth market as well. Now, some of you may not know this, but I do have a little surprise for you. So one of the latest things that I've done, I created a virtual course. It's called Game On, a Financial Fitness Experience. And this particular course, it's over 3 hours of educational video instruction with software, with an ebook, everything that you need to get your finances in order. Just for participating in today's webinar and filling out a survey, if you decide to do so, if you submit your name, first name, last name, and personal email address, you're going to be entered for a chance to win a seat for free in my virtual classroom. Again, it is called Game On, a financial fitness experience. That's what it looks like online. And you may be wondering, well, how in the world do I get access to this survey? Because I want to put my name in this raffle. That is the QR code that you could scan with your cell phone. And what I'm going to try to do as well, I just typed in a link that will take you to the survey as well. So anybody that is interested in participating in this raffle, just make sure that you fill out the survey. It will close at midnight tonight, West Coast time, because I just want to be fair and give everybody a chance to participate. But again, this is something that you can take advantage of, and who doesn't love winning free stuff, you know? And last but not least, if you are not selected as a winner, I didn't want to leave you out there as well. But for the month of February, I'm doing a Black History Month promotion. So if, again, you aren't one of the lucky winners, you can go through this course. All you have to do is just type in the coupon code GTB50 at checkout, and the course is usually $150. It is only $50, ladies and gentlemen. So keep that in mind as well. So with that, George, I'm actually going to open things up for a little Q&A here. And if you have any questions, of course, just go ahead and type that in the chat section. Or if you guys have been monitoring some of the questions that have been coming in, I can just go ahead and attack those if you already know what they are top of mind. So again, ladies and gentlemen, if you do have a question, and I always tell people, you can ask me anything you want to, just make sure you can handle the answer. So let's see here. Oh, I see a question here. The general goal for emergency savings used to be 3 months. What is recommended these days? Actually, as a result of the pandemic, a lot of people nowadays are saying it would be wise to have at least 1 year's worth of household expenses in your emergency fund. Now, don't everybody freak out, because I know a year's worth of expenses, that's a lot of money. I mean, a whole lot. But I always tell people, you don't have to try to eat that apple in one bite. Just take little nibbles, so to speak. So one of your goals could be this: instead of saying, well, you know what, I want to have 3 months worth of mortgage payments in my account within the next 3 months, that's probably not going to happen, because that's a lot of money. So I always say, start with a small goal. What if you were to say, you know what, I want 1 month's worth of grocery in my savings account right now, and then turn that 1 month into 2 months, 2 months into 3 months, and by then, and by default, you've already saved about 1 month's worth of mortgage payments as well. So focus on the smaller goals, because from a mental state, the faster you can hit a goal, your belief in the process goes up, and your commitment to stay the course also increases as well. So that is my answer to that particular question. Let's see here. Oh, okay, I see another one. Watching the stock market recently can make some people nervous about their investments in 401k. Any thoughts? I have a lot of thoughts about a lot of things, but let me tell you how I feel about that. Even though my wife and I, we invest heavily and we have quite a sizable amount of money over at Vanguard, I don't get caught up in the day-to-day shifts or volatility in the market. When we invest particularly from a long-term point of view. And another thing about my wife and I, even though we invest a lot of money, we aren't as aggressive as a lot of people are, because, you know, I'm 47, I'll be 50 soon. And guess what? I am closer to my death date than I am to the day that I was born. So I'm not trying to put myself in a position where we cannot recover from some type of economical hit. So I know you may be getting a little concerned about some of the balances and shifts in the balance in your 401k, but keep in mind, this is money that you put away for a reason. You put it away for the long term, and it's hard, but it is possible to start separating some of the emotions that you feel when you see the market dip versus when you see it increase. And as you can obviously tell, I've always been intrigued by the fact that everybody gets excited when the market is up, but nobody gets excited when the market is down. To me, I look at it like this. That's when everything is on sale. So that's my opinion on that. Let's see here. I'm still scrolling through. Uh, oh, our first investment in our brokerage account. Now, before I answer that question, just for full disclosure, I am not an investment advisor, nor am I telling you to invest in this particular fund. But the, the, the ticker symbol is actually VTI. It is a stock ETF fund that you can purchase through Vanguard. That's one of our after tax investments. And like I was saying earlier, my wife and we are not like flying by the seat of our pants, so to speak, meaning that we love to take on humongous risk when it comes to our asset allocation. And when I say that, that is just the percentage of money that we put in a particular asset class. For stocks, as an example, we're about 70%. And for some fixed income type investments, we're at about 30%. For us, we're comfortable doing that. I realize that we probably could have a lot more growth doing it a different way. But because my wife and I talk about money so much, we're very comfortable with what we're doing, and we're extremely satisfied with the results that we've achieved over the years. One thing I will say about money is this, and you can take this to the bank. The first million that you accumulate is going to be the most difficult. However, the second million is inevitable. So you can take that to the bank. Let's see here. I think I have 3 minutes left. Okay. I see another question about what is my general opinion of apps that help you track spending and saving. I am a big supporter of anything that you can use to help reduce financial stress in your life, right? However, because there's a caveat to everything, one of the things that I don't like about the way the world operates today is this: because we are so tech savvy, I feel as though we sometimes allow technology to think for us. Now, that to me is kind of like in that gray area with money. I'm either black or white. I'm the type of person I like to have 100% control, right? So we dictate to our money how it is to behave. However, I do use an app so far as tracking and things of that nature, but my wife and I, we dictate to the money how it's supposed to behave. If you found an app that works for you and is giving you the results that you desire, I say stick with it and go harder. Go as hard as you can. Let's see here. Okay. George, I just saw you pop up, sir. Do I need to shut up?
Listen, I wish we could go on and on and on. I mean, when it comes to finances and being financially fit and growing our finances and trying to excuse me, trying to make sure that our money is behaving the way that we want it to, the conversation could go on all day and all night. But unfortunately, not unfortunately, because we're fortunate to have our jobs, but we've got to let our folks
Exactly.
get back to their jobs and all the things they're doing. But just wanted to jump in and thank you for these questions that you've been able to answer. Thank you for sharing these financial tips and advice and things like that, and making sure that our community is making sure that we look at ways that we can make sure that we are building our wealth and building something for our future, for our families. We're at the top of the hour here. I just want to say a quick thank you again to Al Riddick. Thank you, founder and president of Game Time Budgeting. And there's a couple of surveys that we dropped in the chat before you go, everyone. One of the links is to the surveys you complete for a chance to win one of those seats and one of those free. We like the word free. One of those free virtual seats in the webinar, and then we also have a link to our survey for the event today, just to get your feedback on how we did today and what you'd like to see going forward. Thank you all for joining today. We also have a month chock full of events for Black History Month all over the network, from a national level, all across the different chapters. So please be on the lookout in your newsletters, MS Teams, Q on social media. Be on the lookout for lots of events we have in store for you all this month. As a matter of fact, let me see if I can share this quickly. We have bingo. This could be coming up weekly. But we'll go ahead and make sure you take a look at the national newsletters. We got plenty of information there. Once again, Al, thank you so much for sharing these tips and tricks. The video replay will be made available, so be on the lookout for that. Once we have that, we'll be sharing that with everyone. So thank you, Al, again. Thanks to all the entire team that helped put this together, the chief program officers, planning committee, and all the folks who helped to put this together. We appreciate all your help. Thanks, everyone, and have a good day.